Long ago in ancient Egypt, there was a pharaoh named Amenhotep III. He began construction on a plot of land that would continue for over 1,000 years. Over time, the details of this structure would slowly shift underground and not be discovered until the late 1800s. This plot of land is known as the Luxor Temple Complex, and remnants of it can be found on the east bank of the Nile River in Luxor, Egypt. Built around 1392 BC during the 18th dynasty in what was then known as Thebes. It was used as a place of worship for the royal Ka and the gods Amun, Mut, and Khosnu. The complex has a long timeline of renovations and has been able to service many different rulers and civilizations. The temple is over 1,800 acres and made of sandstone block, a coarse and rough building material consisting of tiny grains of sand cemented together. Each beige-colored block has been hand-carved with meticulous detail and adorned with hieroglyphics. The design is very symmetrical, a recurring theme in ancient Egyptian architecture. Our tour begins with the 1.5-mile Avenue of Sphinxes, which once connected the Luxor Temple to the Karnak Temple. At the entrance, we are greeted by several statues of Ramses the Great, along with a 75-foot-tall obelisk of the East, whose western twin was traded for a mechanical clock and moved to Paris, France in 1833. We enter the court of Ramses II, which measures in at 188 feet long, 168 feet wide, and surrounded by 74 columns carved with papyrus motif. Next, we have the colonnade of courtyard of Amenhotep III, where we can see the various reliefs of pharaohs and more 52-foot columns. Due to the length of time the temple was underground, it has endured some damage, including missing pillars and sculptures. However, since the excavation in the 1960s, there has been a strong effort to restore as much of the temple as possible. The structure commands a feeling of solemnness and wisdom. It is very serious and makes you think about how long it took to build and how much history it has experienced. The Luxor's design is seamless, with each renovation complementing the previous. According to Ancient Egypt Online, it was common practice to align a temple with the river, contrary to the construction of the Luxor, which was aligned with Karnak. This is because it hosted one of the most sacred religious events, the Opet festival for the gods. During this festival, statues of the gods would be carried through the Avenue of Sphinxes from Karnak to Luxor. After the invasion of the Roman Empire, a Christian basilica was added. This would then become a mosque dedicated to the Muslim saint Abu Haggag. The mosque has been protected over time and remains in almost perfect condition, continuing to serve as a place of worship. I think a piece of history such as the temple has deep importance to the history of Egypt, and that the value is only increased by its ability to serve different purposes. I have always admired Egypt. I taught myself how to read hieroglyphics around age 6 with a little paper alphabet wheel and enjoyed visiting the Egyptian wing of the MFA in Boston. My family and I used to visit Las Vegas yearly for a fabric trade show, and I would often ask to visit the Luxor Hotel. It is a huge pyramid that sends a bright blue beam into space at night. The lobby used to have a boat ride simulating the Nile River, but has since retired it. The hotel itself is an interesting piece of pop culture, as it's very westernized caricature of Egypt. One day I wish to visit the real Luxor. Historic places fill me with a sense of hopefulness. They remind us that there was a past and there will be a future. Through the semester, I have been inspired and intrigued by a theme of permanence and object life beyond the maker. The Luxor Temple Complex is no exception, since it has remained a place of worship and garnered respect from the general public. By studying the architecture of the past, we can try to understand their way of life and learn about the foundation of our modern-day society. This is important, especially with the feelings of unease that have consumed the world for the past several months. We must remember those who came before us and continue to restore these places so we can educate future generations. And this is my bibliography and my images. That was the Luxor Temple Complex. My name is Bethany Dornig. Thank you very much for listening.